And they accomplished a heck of a lot. So
Yeah,
I'm kind of pleased with that.
yeah, yeah, good. So, the years you went to Pullman Tech, that was before 1950, though. That was long before 50, right?
Yeah, I graduated in 38.
38, oh, yeah.
I graduated
Okay.
in 38.
Uh-huh.
And I was only 16 and a half when I graduated. The reason being is that I had also gone to St. Margaret's School when I lived in Fernwood, and that was a mile away from our house.
Yeah.
And my older sister, Catherine Mary, had to shepherd me to school and back. So my mother had to promote me a year over at St. Margaret so I could always have my sister to convey me.
Now, is that St. Margaret of Scotland?
St. Margaret of Scotland, where that unfortunate priest got mugged by some kids.
Yeah.
Who, after they mugged him and beat him up, said, "We're sorry, Father."
Yeah, boy. Yeah.
The world is so full of
Oh,
bizarre
boy.
things.
Yeah, okay. Huh. Yeah, but there's a pretty old parish there in Fernwood, isn't it? Is it St. Helens? St. Helena?
St. Helena.
Helena.
They call it Helena there. It's only in Montana they say Helena.
Oh,
Because that's the gold rush here. It's the
Oh, okay.
Hellraisers, I think.
so St. Helena.
That's the way they called it when I was there. I'm not sure that's even open anymore, though. Because I heard it was on a short list of closing
The school closed, I think.
just the school.
I don't know.
You may well be right.
Yeah, I don't know about the church.
That's very possible. That
Yeah.
I know that happened at Queen of Apostles where we went. The school closed,
Yeah.
but the church remained open.
You know who still goes to church there is David Holmberg. You remember
yeah,
David?
I know David well. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and he's still running in those marathons.
No, he's
Finally quit.
well. This week, I think he goes for a big operation. He's got some hip problems, and he had to quit. He was at the marathon where they had that bombing last year.
He ran in it.
He was there in Boston. Yeah, that was the last one that he ran, and then he developed some problems. So this year, I think he went, but he couldn't run. He went there to just commemorate the fact, that last year he was there and they had the bombing and that. So, no, I had breakfast with him a couple weeks ago, and he's walking with a cane and he's hurting pretty bad, but he's hopeful that once they do the operation, he'll be up and around and feeling better. I don't know if he'll be back running or not.
Doesn't it boggle your mind that the people can run in marathons and more of them don't break their hips down?
Yeah. 26 miles.
Yeah. I got a little granddaughter that ran in one of those marathons recently,
Yeah.
partly to reduce weight, because
Oh.
he tended to be a little chubby. I thought, if that don't do nothing, well.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Phil was telling me that AC was saying that in Dalton back when what was the incident that kind of brought the environmentalists out and you got to know Bob?
Oh, they were going to build an incinerator.
Oh, you remember building an incinerator in Dalton?
The one in the black community. Is that the one? Or wait, there was an incinerator in Lake Calumet too.
There was, right?
Yeah, that's the one that Marion Burns changed herself to the gate on.
Well, that was the waste management hazardous waste incinerator. Yeah. And then the city had the 3 incinerators there at 103rd Street. The sign is still out there.
Yeah.
But he's saying that in Dalton that they had proposed one.
Yeah, over there where that dump is on the other side.
Yeah. You know where the aluminum company was back there?
Yeah.
Somewhere back there? By the dump back
Closer
behind
to
it?
the river.
And who's the other guys that were a part of that? Maybe
There was Bob Shannon, some other Bob, Joan Van Haren.
you remember Shannon
No, I don't.
from Dalton? No.
Ronnie Lewis.
Yeah. Ronnie Lewis went on to become mayor in Dalton.
There were so many activities like that now in that period there for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
They sort of all blur into each
But
other.
they stopped it.
But there, yeah, oh yeah, but it wasn't perfect. But at least it did lead to the slow down of the idea that this was the garbage dump for the world.
Yeah. Yeah. You're
Anything
right.
goes there if it don't, you know, what do we do with the slag from the steel? Well, put it over to the swamps. Nobody likes swamps. Throw it in the swamp.
So how did you become involved, like with Marianne, and were you around when Dr. Landing, Jim Landing was active out there too, around Lake Calumet?
Oh yeah, I
Uh-huh.
was. I got involved by a series of steps. When I retired, I had already sort of emulated my wife. She talked me into doing some of the civic duty stuff that she was doing.
Yeah.
She's way ahead of me. So I volunteered for a blood bank and ran the blood bank for a while, and then
Where was it, Riverdale?
in Riverdale,
Oh.
yeah, and then they wanted someone to get on the zoning board. I got on the zoning board. When I found out it was an architect, they made me sort of chair of the board for a while. I worked for the chair for the zoning board. But during that period also, I read in the newspaper an announcement that there's going to be a group of so-and-so are going to be pulling weeds or so on some one of the forest preserves nearby. And I went to that and got acquainted with the NOACs, Joe and Marlene.
Oh.
And I started going to their events, and boy, that was a revelation to me to find out that there are people are actually being able to hands-on do something about something instead of talking about it. And get out and start pulling some of the undesirable invasives out of beautiful forest preserve. But one of the events I went to was once Joe and Marlene were gonna lead a tour over in Powderhorn, and I decided, that sounds interesting. I'd never been there before, and I went to that and went along the tour in the Powderhorn Preserve, and Marion Burns was on that tour. I didn't even know she existed, and when I either got to talking about it or hearing about it, and she tells me that we have this Calumet Ecological Park Association that's doing this, that, and the other. Boy, the light went on over my head. And I said, when's the next meeting?
Yeah.
So I went in and got into that, and I threw myself in full scale in it. I thought she's one of the most admirable people I ever met in my life.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
She got me involved. She got me involved. And it was during that incident that you mentioned about the waste management incinerator. And I used to read it in the Southtown, and I was following. I wasn't an avid environmentalist, but I would read about her and about some of these efforts closing the dumps and then shutting down that waste management incinerator. Then when I heard that they're going to chain themselves to the fence, I said, these people are serious. And I talked to her on the phone first, and then it turned out, and I don't know if you knew, he was my landlord too, it was Al Pooler.
No.
Do you remember Al Pooler?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Where was he? In
Pullman.
In Pullman?
Yeah, he was in Pullman, and it turned out that he was a fellow church member of mine. And I went to church in Hammond, and I was thinking about moving from, my wife had passed on, and we sold the house, and I divested myself, and I was looking for a new place to move to. And he said, well, I got an apartment in Pullman. why don't you move over to Puma? I said, well, that's my old neighborhood. I'll think about it. And sure enough, I took the apartment. But at the same time,